Well, Mother, now that you're here in Ferbane once more, I'd like you to tell me a bit of history about where I came from and all about our own people and the neighbours in camp and who my grandmother was. So will you start off now and tell us a little bit?
Well, she was Mary Kate Walsh, and she came from Russia, and she married John Naughton at the age of 23. He was a driver by trade at the time. That was before buses or these class came. There was none of that in it.
Only a trap and a sidecar,
yes.
I suppose.
So that's before the railway came from Galway to Clifton.
Mm.
So when that started, my father...
You never saw your father now when
no,
you were dead?
He went to work on the sandpits that was laying the sand for the railway.
The railway line, yes.
So he was this day, my mother was just 3 months married, and he went out this day. And the man that had taken the contract of laying the rails should have a man on top of the sandpits as they went along.
Sort of a watchman to see.
A watchman.
Mm.
And they were supposed to give warning to the men that was lifting the sand in their carts.
If there was any danger.
Yeah. And as the carts were put in, they were sinking as there was no foundation in the sandpit.
Yes.
So my father went behind the cart to give it a lift out to the horse, because when it was sinking, the wheels was going down.
Yes.
So he went back, and the horse and cart came safe, but he was smothered.
Oh.
So I was 3 months in for that time.
Yeah.
And I never seen him. 6 months later I was born.
Yes. And she lived there?
She lived on an acre of land.
With her mother-in-law and father-in-law?
Yes, and they were advanced when they got married. They had only 2 boys, and the other boy, Willie, died just a baby. So John lived until he was smothered there. So she could have gone to her people in America. All her family were out there. But she had no place to leave me, and she wouldn't leave me after her. Both her father-in-law and mother-in-law were too old. They were in their 70s. So she stayed with them and reared me.
And then they died, and how did she get to marry Mr. McDonough, or Patsy McDonough?
She done work for them. She done their washing and cleaning up when himself and his wife lived in farther up the street.
Yes.
In the same street, but farther up. And they had a shop. So the wife died, and he said, I think I'll take back now to where I came from. He was a native of Ballinasloe. And I don't like to be away from where Bridget is buried. That was the wife.
Yes.
And, well, says my mother, we have a big house down there. But, says she, I cannot do your work anymore. People talk, which they would. And if you like, she says, you can come down and we'll give you part of our house is too big, because my father had it built to go out in it and leave the old couple in the old house.
Yes, and he'd be near enough to them just the
Yes.
same if he lived.
So, well, if you marry me, says he, we'll stop the talk. So that's the way she got it.
And they had a little shop there then.
He had carried on his shop business all the time.
And you grew up then and you married my father, and he was from?
He was from Billamore.
Yes.
He was a carpenter by trade, and a great man to play the accordion.
And to step dance.
And he'd step dance.
And he could lilt.
He could lilt and step dance and drink a drop as good as any man.
And smoke his pipe.
And smoke his pipe. So he'd done some repairs in our house. And of course, I don't know, but they said he had an eye on me all the time. That's to be told. But he proposed, and Mother said it was very suitable for me. I'd be with her. So I did marry, and I reared 6 children.
And the eldest was Mary Rose.
Yeah, Mary Rose was the eldest.
And Deela.
Deela came in, and Michael came in.
And Bernie.
Bernie came in.
And me then.
And Tess came in, and Myra came in. And there was no appeal going that time.
No.
Because if there was, I wouldn't have so many on the side of the road, because work was very scarce.
Only chance work.
Chance work. He had his papers out for being a good carpenter. But there was no work. And if they got work herself, it was only about £2 a week. So I always done fancy work since I was 11 years.
Carrickmacross lace.
Carrickmacross lace. And I kept at the lace. And between all, and my mother used to get Christmas and Easter money from her people and her sisters in America. And we had a nice little life.
And you'd a bit of land.
And a bit of land. So we lived along. Comfortable at the time. Things were very cheap that time. You'd get a nice chop for 6pence. 12 pennies at that time.
So if they got married then, Mary Rose in Crockwell?
Yes, got a big farmer, and I thought it was a hard life for her, because she was at office work in the post office. And I told her, says, I marry someone that'll give you an easy time, because farming is very hard on that side of the country. But she didn't. She said she liked him, and love is supposed to be one of the biggest things. Love or hatred, them two conquers.
So the next?
The next thing was Delia, and she married her own choice, Andrew Darcy from Oughterard, and they reared their family. So then Michael, and he married an Offaly woman. Bernie then married
What was her name?
Kitty O'Leary, and then Bernie married
One of the Lees from down
from Pollock, and he came in for a farm of land from the Knowns, the father side, and he reared a big family.
And I came next. I went up to Offaly too.
Then my next one went up to Offaly. Tess, she married Johnny Owens. He's from Giesel.
And Myra went back to where my grandmother came from and married back in Reshna. She was the same name as
Yes.
Granny.
She was Myra and she went back to Patrick Connolly.
Well, who was the neighbour next door to you now?
Mike Kersey.
Oh yes, that's the man that used to have the apples and we used to get a few.
Yes, and he'd bring a few apples. And the biggest curse he ever said was Billy Oath and Paddy Conscience.
Yeah.
And he fished on Loch Corrib. That's what he used to do.
And he had a lame leg, I remember. How did he get that?
Oh, he got that later on in life, but he hadn't it always. He married a girl he was great with from her youth, and she went to America and made a bit of money and came home. Margaret Gill.
And that's how John Gill is in it today now.
John Gill is in it today, then. His nephew.
Oh, I see. And
And
then Manny no.
And he used races that time. Was 2 days in Galway.
Oh yes.
And Tom Farty lived next door to him. And Tom went in to Jarvey the races. When the crowd is gathered, they'd stand in the square in Galway to Salt Hill are the dogs, Salt Hill are the dogs. And they brought you to Salt Hill are the dogs for 10 shillings. And they made a few pound and come home. The whole lot of them had been coming from Galway. 10 or 12 cars from Oughterard used to go in for the race week. And poor Mike Alistair used to go in with Tom's wife in the last day to be out with him. They'd have the day in the Galway races. And poor Tom Farty got a bit jarred.
One too many.
And he was driving, coming home. And Mike was one side and the wife was on the other side and he was on the decky.
Oh yes.
The centre they used to call it. But he pulled the car against the wall and Mike's leg got caught.
And that's how he...
And the leg got broke.
Oh, I see.
So I had to step for life.
And who was next in? Where did Mrs. Jordan come in?
Mrs. Jordan then, Tom Farty built a new house down further, and Mrs. Jordan went in his old house. She was from Westmeath. Mary Ann Ward was her name.
And she married Peter Jordan.
Peter Jordan was born in Oughterard, and he lived with his mother. His father was dead. And he was a while, I think, in the industrial back in Letterfrack in his youth. But he was a great step dancer. And he married Mary Ann Ward when they were down in Galway with her people that employed her for the sea for the summer. She came down, girl, working with them.
And she was good at the dressmaking.
She was a dressmaker by trade. When she came. When she joined them, worked for them, they had a family. And she used to make all the clothes for the children and all. What they aren't doing now, they don't do so.
Oh, there's great changes, all right, but sure, there
great
wasn't pennies or done stores out in that time.
No, there was nothing out that time. So anyway, they went to America. And they came home after years. And there was no pension to go for them from America that time either.
No.
They came home and they'd done